This happened on a trip sanctioned by my former high school. We went to Russia and had a wonderful time in Moscow and St. Petersburg. The travel agency, in a bid to get more money, offered us an extension to go to Tallinn, Estonia, and Helsinki, Finland. Being school kids out of the United States, some of us for the first time, of course, we took it. We took an uneventful trip on a bus to Estonia and then a ship to cross the Baltic Sea into Finland. The trip leader decided that we had been pretty damn responsible for the past week and a half and told us we could sit and eat wherever we wanted and told us where to find him. We had lunch on the ship, and that's when things turned creepy. A group of girls had claimed a table for themselves and were just chatting and eating. Then a man came up to them and started talking to them in Russian. They apologized and said they only knew English, and he left. Then he came back a few minutes later and sat at the table right next to them. After a few minutes of having him stare at them, they moved to a different table in a different part of the ship. A few minutes later, the same man appeared and sat right next to them again. Then one of them saw him take out a camera and take a few pictures of them. Having enough of this, a group of 3 set off to find either a parent or a teacher. School trip, remember. They hit the jackpot, and most of the teachers and a few parents all sitting together and told them what was happening. The trip leader went off to find some employee on the ship to help us out, and the rest all came to the table of the girls. Once the adults came crowding back in, the man left. The girls all felt better, but stuck with the adults just to be safe. Then one girl, Mary, went to the bathroom. She knew another person was in there and felt safe enough to go on her own. Then, on her way, she saw the same creepy man from before. She hurried past. Outside the ladies' room, she turned back. He was waiting for her at the end of the hall. She went into the bathroom and started hyperventilating. What she didn't know is that one of the dads followed her just to be on the safe side, and saw her being followed. He brushed right past the creepy man and stood guard at the bathroom door, being sure to give the man a proper glare. The man walked off in a hurry. Once he was gone, the dad knocked on the bathroom door and told Mary that he would wait for her and it was safe to come out. The trip leader found someone who spoke English and told them what happened, and they said they would keep a lookout for the man and make sure he got stopped if he was caught leaving the ship. No one saw him again, so I assume that he was caught somewhere, or else he snuck off with his pictures of underage girls. I stumbled upon this forum a few weeks ago and have been lurking daily to read all the new stories. Recently, I remembered a really messed up story from my childhood and got my dad to fill in the blanks. I felt this story was appropriate for this particular forum. This is how it went. About 8 years ago, when I was 10 years old, my dad and now ex-stepmom got into another knockdown, drag-out fight. So, in order to get away for a few days, my dad loaded my older sister and I into his truck and took us down south a few hours to my uncle's house to spend the weekend. On our last day there, my dad took my sister and I to an old battleship that had been turned into a tourist attraction. After about an hour of walking around the ship, we met up with this random old man. He was dressed in an old ratty t-shirt and some baggy shorts. He strikes up with a conversation with my dad out of nowhere. My dad is a pretty sociable person and didn't think much of it. Neither did I. Though dirty and scraggly, the old man seemed nice enough. After that, he seemed to be appearing everywhere we went. We made our way to the highest deck of the ship and into the control room. My dad and sister were standing outside on the deck while I was staring out the window of the control room. As I turned to leave, I saw the man standing behind me, his junk hanging out of the front of his shorts, just staring at me. Of course, I was terrified. I hightailed it out of the control room and found my dad. I couldn't seem to find a moment alone with him to tell him what just happened, since the man was still following us. He followed us out of the ship as we were heading towards the old submarines when he stopped at the front of the attraction by some security guards. I waited till we were a considerable distance from him before I told my dad. Of course, he was livid. He turned around, initially intending to find the man and beat the hell out of him, but instead found an employee. He stated his complaint and the employee just sighed and nodded knowingly. She said that they had several complaints around the ship stating the same man was exposing himself to others on the ship and that the cops had been called. I've never gone back to that ship. I don't think I even could, even if I wanted to. It still gives me the creeps when we drive by it on our way to my uncle's house.